Good morning. This is Jamey from Stillmeyer Games. What is today? June 8th, 2022. Thank you for joining me today. If you're going to drop in and say hi, as usual, I'm here to share Stillmeyer Games news, to share what's going on behind the scenes here, to answer your questions and to discuss random topics that are going on with me. And let's start out with today with the chocolate of the day. Last week, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, I ordered popcorn from one of the people who watch this podcast, owns a popcorn store called GoPo, GOPO, in Missouri, here in Missouri. And it's kind of far from where I live, but I decided to order online, and we got 3 bags of popcorn, and it's delicious. It's really, really good, including some that have chocolate on them. So I got some that are savory, like a movie theater butter. I've really, really been enjoying. But we also got cookies and cream, and we got the sea salt dark chocolate, and both of those were really, really good. We're still eating through the cookies and cream. We got a little bit of the sea salt dark chocolate. So I'm curious if you like popcorn. What type of popcorn do you like? Do you like it salty or do you like it sweet? And I would recommend checking out, if you have the chance, GoPo popcorn. If you're in the U.S., I don't know if you could ship it abroad, but or if you're ever driving on 70 in Missouri, go check out GoPo. I definitely want to stop by there the next time I'm driving to Kansas City. Looks like we have some folks joining us today. Tony, Michelle, Dominic, George, Chad, and Tim so far. And Navia just popped in. I won't read all the rest of the names, but thank you for being the first ones to pop in today and say hi. It's great to see you today. So that's my treat of the day. Let me know what you think about popcorn, if popcorn is ever your treat of the day. And speaking of popcorn, we actually went to the movie theater last week to see Top Gun Maverick. And it's a movie that got such good reviews and so many recommendations that we watched it on the big screen that we went to a daytime showing and really enjoyed it. It was probably the best sequel to a movie that I've ever seen. I know there have been sequels that are defined in different ways because this isn't really part of a series, but just as a kind of a remake slash sequel, even though it's not really remaking the original. It's just a really good movie. And it's clear the way it was filmed with a lot of real world effects. I'm sure there was some CGI in there, probably plenty of CGI in it, but a lot of it I think was filmed from actual fighter jets. And the way they did it and the way I wrote about this in my blog, the way they told you what they were going to do, like this one mission they had, the way they told you what you're going to do, and how they showed you over and over again how they were going to do it and how difficult it was, and then they finally attempt to do it, really help me understand what they were actually doing, because these planes are moving so fast that without that repetition, I wouldn't really understand. And it actually made me appreciate better writing rule books and in terms of gameplay. And if there's a complex idea that I need to convey to players, to either streamline that concept or use repetition as a way to get them accustomed to it, whether it's repetition in the rulebook itself or in the gameplay itself. Looks like Nicholas is here. Nicholas is the one who sells this popcorn at GoPo. Nicholas said, what did you think of the bookses? Yeah, so the popcorn came in these pretty unique boxes that we haven't sent back yet. And Nicholas, perhaps you can speak to it in the comment, because we haven't looked too deep into how to deal with them. But they came with a QR code on them saying that I think you can mail them back, or you can put them in the mail somehow. Nicholas, maybe you can speak to it in the comments below, because I haven't looked into how they work. But I love that the boxes they were sent in aren't to be recycled. They are definitely to be reused, and they have a lot of Velcro on them, so that I think they can be packed flat and then shipped somewhere else and then reused again. So I'm curious how they work, Nicholas, if you can fill us in on how they work. Very curious, a very interesting type of box. Tim says some movies he recently watched. George said that he got a Pringle craving after my Pringle craving last week. Tim said he recently watched The Night House and The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I think that's the new Nick Cage movie. We also watched, even though it wasn't a movie, we watched the latest season of Stranger Things, and certain episodes felt like movies. Good morning, Dan. Good to see you. Jay is asking for an update on viticulture fulfillment. Yeah, so viticulture world fulfillment. I wanted to mention that today. I got an update from Joe yesterday, who handles a lot of the fulfillment and coordination, not the actual fulfillment, but the coordination of the fulfillment. So the word is, the only place that I don't have a great update on is Australia. I don't think, unless Joe can update me live, I don't see an update right now. I don't have a clear update on Australia, but in Canada and the US, they've shipped a significant number of copies already. And or at least they've told us that, and same in the UK. In Canada, they ship so many copies, Jay, that it's a little odd that you haven't gotten a notification yet, because I'm pretty sure, let me look at the email that I have. Okay, so the word that we had is that they processed and packed 335 units last week, and they began shipping them out yesterday with several pickups today. All customers should have received their tracking numbers via UPS and Canada Post, and today they'll receive their Shopify notifications. They're talking about champions right now. So, Jay, if you're a champion, based on what HubTrider is saying, you should have gotten a shipping notification. If that's not the case, let us know because I want to look into that. Like we're trusting this communication from our fulfillment centers, but if that's not what you're actually getting as a customer, then we definitely need to look into that. If you're a champion, I don't think any non-champion orders have shipped at this point yet. So, but Jay, I think off the top of my head, I think you are a champion. So let me know some more information about that if you can. William is joining us today. William just had quite an adventure to Seattle in Washington State to go to a game design competition. I was rooting for William. He came in just a little bit short of the victory, but to be that close to getting the top prize was awesome to hear. And William, I hope you had a wonderful trip up there to Seattle. Okay, Nicholas says these boxes that he sent, or boxes, I'll just call them boxes, but they're boxes that are reusable. He says you can drop them off at participating locations. Okay, so there is not a mailing thing, but maybe you scan them and the barcode tells you areas nearby where you can go and drop off these boxes to be reused. It's a really clever way because I mean we're shipping so many, and not we, like society in general is shipping so many things in boxes these days. I love the idea of a box that can be reused instead of just instantly recycled. Tim says he's been recycling a lot of metal from cars lately. The scrapyard reminds me of Scythe with the huge metal machines and landscape. I thought you were making a recycling connection there, which you kind of are, Tim, but also reminding you of Scythe. Yeah, Scythe definitely has that scrapyard feel to it in terms of the mechs. Colton is asking where my kitty cats are today. Walter was around earlier. I don't see Walter or Biddy right now. I'm sure that Biddy is under the bed. The last I saw Walter, he was in the bedroom on his bed as well. So they're not in the room right now, but you'll probably see them appear at some point in the video. So Jay confirms that he is a champion and he has not gotten a shipping notification. Joe, let me know if you're watching this and look into Jay's order so we can confirm if HubTrider is telling us accurate information. If not, Jay, I'll make a note about this after the live cast. Actually, I'll make a note right now just in case Joe isn't watching. I don't expect Joe to watch these every week. Thank you, Jay, for that note. Corey says he hasn't received any tracking yet. Corey, you are in the U.S., and so in the U.S. they have a lot of orders to get through. So the update in the U.S. is, so they have thousands of orders to ship in the U.S. I'm seeing that they have 1,500 unshipped orders as of yesterday. So our estimate was that orders will be shipped throughout June. And a lot of that estimate is for the U.S. specifically, but also in the U.K. and Europe, there was something called like the Queen's Jubilee last week, and so our fulfillment center in the U.K. was not open last week, and so no orders in Europe were going to be shipped until this week at the earliest, and probably a lot of them are going to be next week as well. So if you're in the U.S. or Europe, it is not surprising that you have not received a fulfillment confirmation yet. Or shipping notification. And Canada is the only place where it might be a little odd because we have information that they have shipped most of the orders at this point. So we'll dig into that. So I'm going to say this globally. I'm not going to respond to every comment about this. It's only really relevant what I'm saying right now if you were in Canada. If you're not in Canada, you probably should not have already received your shipping notification anyway. I wouldn't even start to think about it until the end of next week because it is going to take them quite some time in the US and Europe in particular to get through those orders. And I don't have any updates about Australia, so I can't speak to that. Please do not fill the comments here saying that you have not received a notification. Only in Canada. I'll stress that again. Let's see. Okay, Nick says, will there be another print run of the wine crate? I wasn't able to get one in time before they sold out. We will probably at some point do a reprint of the wine crate. Currently, we are just keeping an eye on the back in stock request for the wine crate, which has sold out in the US and I think in maybe Australia. So we currently, there definitely are not enough requests on that form to start a new print run. but I'm waiting for it to get to a certain critical mass where we can justify doing it. I think it is likely, but definitely not until 2023. It won't be ready. It won't arrive until sometime in 2023. And it almost definitely will not include Viticulture World. So you are safe to go ahead and get Viticulture World and not have a level of redundancy. In fact, I'll just say for sure at this point that we will make at least some wine crates, probably most of them, if and when we do a second printing that do not have Viticulture World in the box. That way you can safely get it now. You can safely enjoy the expansion for now without having to worry about having to rebuy that inside the wine crate in the future. Yeah. Chad says that he's been enjoying the Stonemaier Games Discord channel. Yeah, we did open a Stonemaier Games Discord channel recently. You can see our latest e-newsletter last week for information about how to get into that Discord channel. It's very easy if you get that e-newsletter. Fenna asked about when are we going to get more details about, or any details really, about the next Wingspan expansion. And my plan is to start talking about it in our next e-newsletter, which would be at the beginning of July. So either, depending on the dates, it'll either be at the very end of June or the beginning of July. I'm planning to reveal the location, like the continent, and maybe reveal one bird card a month for every month until I really do the real announcement. This will be a very soft version of the announcement without many details about what the expansion is. Yeah, that's the plan right now. Question from the Excel Gamer. What is a trend that you are noticing in board games that you like and appreciate? And what is a trend or practice in board games that you wish would change? Interesting question. A trend that you are noticing that you like and appreciate. Well, a couple ways to look at this. I could look at it from the crowdfunding perspective. I could look at it from kind of the production perspective or the design perspective. Let me think if there's anything that comes to mind off the top of my head. I might have to think about that one a little bit. A trend that I like and appreciate. So one thing that I appreciate in general that I've seen in games is better onboarding. That is helping players understand what they need to know to start playing the game for the first time. Without overwhelming them with all the information they don't need to know until they go deeper into the game. I really like the increased focus on onboarding in games. I really like that. What's a trend or practice that I wish would change? I don't know. One thing I mentioned recently, and this I will say this, but I might back off on this a little bit, is that actually I don't even want. I'll just say it. I mean, I don't even know if this is called a trend, but I think I'm tapped out a little bit on campaign games. And this might just be me personally because I have so many campaign games that I have pre-ordered or backed and I know are incoming that I don't want more of them. Like I know that I will have my hands full with them. Although, oddly enough, right now, I do not have a campaign game on the table. I'm kind of waiting for them to arrive. And so I'm a little campaigned out. Like I'm looking for more games that are just sit down and play in one session and enjoy them that way. Yeah, I think that's might just be me personally right now. I don't know how. And I mentioned this before in the livecast. You're not hearing this for the first time, but something that's been on my mind recently. Where even when I see a new campaign game that I'm really excited about, I think I'm increasingly less likely to back it because I have so many on the way right now that will keep me covered for quite some time, for a while now. Yeah, that's just a little thought that I have right now. Paul says, does Stonemaier Games now own the rights to Libertalia since you released it? If so, it would be amazing if you decide to make an expansion to it. Love your version. Thank you, Paul, for saying that. Yes, we do own the rights to Libertalia. And we don't have an expansion in the works, but there have been some ideas shared on Board Game Geek that I really like. I think the most likely thing we would do if we did an expansion is it might even be more of a promo pack really, but just to make more loot tiles, like new modes of play with the loot tiles. And very recently, someone on Board Game Geek, so back when the game kind of originally was pre-ordered and came out and people were starting to play it, someone posted ideas for one side of those loot tiles. And so that's one side, but they're double-sided tiles, so I needed another side. And so someone very recently posted another proposal for configuration for the loot tiles. And so I'm going to talk to the designer about it, Palamori, to see what he thinks about those ideas. And I think it's fairly likely we might do it. It's incredibly easy for us to do that because it's literally using the same art that we already have on the board. There's no art required. It's just typesetting and a little bit of playtesting to make sure they work. So I think that's fairly likely at some point. That's a very easy buy-in. It's easy for us to make. It's not expensive for anyone to buy. As for a more complex expansion at some point, we don't have anything like that in the works. We might test the waters with this first to see if that works. In fact, I might mention that to Paolo. I'm glad you brought that up. Tim says, I wish more. In fact, yeah, I love that Tim's answering this question. The question asked by the Excel gamer about trends that you like or dislike. Feel free to mention what you think in the comments below. I really would love to hear what you think about that. And Tim, I think, is responding to it a little bit. He says, I wish more companies did upgrade packs or expansions for deluxe content add-ons like metal components and miniatures. I sometimes feel if I missed the Kickstarter edition that the retail just isn't as good, but I can't jump on every campaign either. I really like that method too, Tim. If you are starting out with something deluxe, that you sell at least some of those deluxe components separately as add-ons later. I've seen Druid City Games and formerly Skybound do this with like the little tokens that were in the fanciest version of the Title Blades. You can buy them a la carte, or at least at one point you could buy them a la carte from their web store. I really like when companies do that. Nick says, will the next Wingspan expansion be sold in the Wingspan nesting box like the crate, like the wine crate, the Viticulture wine crate? So check out, Nick, you can check out our page on the website about the nesting box. It's almost fully comprehensive now that we have all the information there. And it does say that the first printing of the nesting box will indeed include the Wingspan expansion in that box. Yeah, we are doing that just because freight shipping costs continue to be really high, especially for giant products like that. And it is giant. It's twice as big, easily twice as big. I'm looking over at my shelf right here that I can't show you, but it's easily twice as big as the Viticulture wine crate. Yeah. Lucas says, I played Le Havre and Ethnos this week with my game group and like both a lot. Have you played either one? I played Le Havre a long time ago. It definitely is not my pick for an Uwe Rosenberg game, but I respect what he did with it. Ethnos I played very recently for the first time at Geekwood of the West and really, really enjoyed it. In fact, that was a really, really fun game to play, Ethnos. And I'm writing it down right now because just yesterday with my best friend and his son really wanted to play Small World of Warcraft. And so we played a 4-player game last night and had a lot of fun with it. But every time I play Small World of Warcraft, I kind of want to show this kid, my friend's son, who's around 10 or 11, I think at this point. I want to show him other games of that style and that weight that aren't Small World of Warcraft. And Ethnos, I think, would be a kind of a good pick for that. It has a similar feel to the interaction. It has a similar weight, similar decision points in the game, and also has a little bit of asymmetry like Small World of Warcraft. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Lucas. I want to try to play Ethnos with my friend and his son the next time we play a game like that. Efrain says, will you do another Viticulture Kickstarter in the future? No, we will not. No, we haven't done Kickstarter in 7 years now. We use a completely different method now for creating and releasing games. So not only will we not do a Viticulture Kickstarter, we have no plans to ever do another crowdfunding project, period, in the future. Corey says, what's your favorite twist or variation of mechanisms in deck builders? Ooh, there are a lot of them. I love the whole subgenre of bag builders that was created by what was the first one? I think, there was a Hyperborea, may have been the first one that did bag building. That looked, I played it. That was interesting, but I love what Quacks really did and elevated that. The latest Clank expansion has a lot of interesting little twists in it, where some cards give you a bonus if you have it, like printed on the card. If you trash or discard that card, you get a bonus for doing so. One thing that came to mind, as you said this, is I backed a project yesterday called First in Flight. And it has a really cool push your luck mechanism in the deck where you're basically trying, the whole game is a race to try to get your plane to fly 36 meters. And when you choose an action that says go fly the plane, that is when you use your deck. And your deck is determining how many meters you fly. And in that deck are meters that you're flying and also some unexpected things that can happen they're basically cards in the deck that stop you from flying. They cause you to potentially crash. Check it out on Kickstarter. Rado did a really good run through of it. And it just, I thought it was a really neat use of deck building in the game where the deck isn't your core action system at all. It's something that you only use when you are attempting a flight. But when you use it for that, you are fully engaged in that deck. So that it isn't like something off to the side that you're tapping into every now and then. I thought that was pretty cool. Tim mentioned that Uwe Rosenberg has a new game called Atiwa that deals with fruit bats. Yeah, I saw this last week, whenever it was announced recently, and it looks really, really cool. I love the idea of having a farming game that's not based in Europe. Nothing wrong with farming games in Europe, but it's nice to go someplace else. We're going to Ghana for this game, and the whole theme of using bats and leveraging bats to spread seeds around an area is really cool. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how that game plays out. It looks great. I love the little bat meeples. Chad says, I've been watching the New Castles of Burgundy GameFound campaign, but they are not offering just the base game with the updated look. All I want is the base game, and pretty disappointed that I have nothing to back. I have to back either everything or nothing. What are your thoughts on this? I hadn't noticed that, Chad. I'm not actually backing that campaign. Have they said anything about retail? I mean, maybe that's their retail approach, where in retail they'll just offer the core game. I can't imagine that they wouldn't just offer the core game in retail, but maybe they're trying not to stress that so people don't wait until after the campaign. But I mean, if that's the case, I don't quite understand why a campaign wouldn't offer just the base version of the game. Yeah, that is a little odd that they're not doing that. I don't understand how that would be advantageous to the publisher to not do that. I haven't dug that deep into it, but it does seem a little odd they wouldn't do that. I can definitely relate to what you're saying there. Let's see. Marco says, what's my take on board games that require a smartphone or tablet companion app to play the game? As a gamer, if it really does something special for the game or makes the game significantly easier to play or easier to get to the table or more fun, I'm totally fine with it. In general, as a gamer, I like turning off screens when I play games. So that's my general preference. But I also, if I hear that a game needs a smartphone or a tablet, it isn't an instant turnoff for me. I want to learn more about what they're doing that makes the app necessary for the game, and elevates the game by using the app. As a publisher, I stay away from it at all costs because of development time. I know that if I've finished the tabletop version of a game and it's ready to go, but I'm now waiting on the developer to be ready, I could be waiting years for them to be ready with their side of the game. So that's something that I've stayed away from and probably will continue to do so. I don't want to spoil anything. There is something small in Charterstone that at one point in the campaign you need to access the internet, but that's not an app. That's just, it's a web-based app essentially that you need to use very temporarily. But beyond that, I don't want a game to rely on an app, is what I'm saying. Kevin says, I would love to see Stomeyer's work on more reissues of some older gems like what was done with Libertalia or games that went out of print. Are there more projects like this in the works? I don't really spoil upcoming stuff, Kevin. I appreciate you asking about that. But I can say that my experience with Libertalia Winds of Galecrest has, I think, made me significantly less likely to pursue that in the future. That said, I have seen some companies pull it off. I think I love what we did with Libertalia Wings of Galecrest, but I was surprised by some reactions to it, like genuinely surprised by it. And at the same time, I've seen what 25th Century Games did with Ra and didn't seem to get that type of backlash. And I've seen now Castles of Burgundy, what they've done with it, and I have not seen that type of backlash as well. So maybe we just did it wrong. That is certainly possible that these companies made these games and refreshed these games and didn't have the same backlash that we did from some people. Because overall, I really like the reactions and I like what we did with the game. But that definitely made me less likely to want to pursue a new edition of an older out-of-print game in the future. Yeah. Ali says, did you see the new Fantasy Realms game, Marvel Remix? It has a couple of interesting mechanisms that I thought added a unique twist. 2 decks to draw from, and cards that can transform if certain conditions are met. That's pretty cool. I had not dug that deep into it. I saw maybe a little announcement about it, but I hadn't dug deep into it. I need to check that out now. So this is Marvel. Is it called Marvel Remix, or is it like Fantasy Realms Marvel Remix? I'll make a note either way. I can probably find it. So I did see when they came out with a Star Trek version of Fantasy Realms, and the reviews of it didn't seem to be all that good. So I didn't dig deeper into that. I think they did things like remove the core values from the cards, which I think really give you a foundation of deciding how valuable a card is or isn't. So I'm curious what they did with the Marvel version of it as well. Let's see, Williams. Okay, so Williams talking about the I don't know how you pronounce it. LUCI, the Lucci Awards. This was the competition that he went to Seattle to participate in. He says it had 2 deck building games in the strategy category. Cooperative deck building, a cooperative deck building game to liberate the moon. That's interesting. And the winner had an occultish themey competitive deck building game with some interesting twists. I might want to check them out. Are they publicly available on the Lucci website? So that's if you're listening, LUCI deck building. I'll check those out. I always am curious what designers are doing. Typically with deck building, bag building, and worker placement, I love to see twist on those mechanisms. I really, really love those mechanisms. The Excel Gamer says, something I appreciated in games as of late is legacy games becoming more inclusive, and companies like Stonemaier Games being more inclusive to people in the LGBTQIA+ community. Something I wish that games would change would be more onboarding of games. I know we were seeing more of it late, but I think certain games could benefit from it. Yeah, that's true. I mean, as much as I've seen some games do that better, there are still plenty of games that don't do it as well. And are striving to do it. And I think one of the wonderful things is that we have so many resources now for teaching people games or helping people learn games in ways that are the most accessible for them. So not everyone might want to learn a rule from a rule book. Not everyone might even want to learn a game from a friend. They might want to watch a video about it. They might want to go through a tutorial like Dized. D-I-Z-E-D has some wonderful tutorials for games. So I love that there are new onboarding methods for showing people how to play games these days. Chad says, a fun little question here, which Scythe character pet, other than the tiger, because I have cats, of course, would you like to have? Well, I'm wearing my Albion t-shirt today, so maybe I'll go with the boar that the Albions have. It's a big boar. Yeah, I'll go with boar today. I don't know if they'll be particularly cuddly, but I bet they're quite intelligent animals. What about the rest of you? What do we have? We have wolves. We have the bear, which is actually based on a real life bear that was in the Polish army. We have the monkey with Togawa. We have the muskox. The muskox. I actually got to meet a muskox when I went to Alaska a few months ago, and it is a big, beautiful creature. It was pretty otherworldly to see that in person. It felt like I was stepping into Scythe for a moment. And Crimea has the eagle. The eagle would be cool too. Marty also asked if there's any news on the upcoming Wingspan expansion. I'm planning to reveal a little bit of information about it in our next e-newsletter. So tune in a few weeks or subscribe to our e-newsletter so you can get information about that. At that point in time, I'm planning to just reveal the continent and one card. And I'm not going to field other questions. It'll be a very soft announcement, a teaser style announcement where I'm teasing a little bit of information. And then you can wait another month and you will get another card and then another card. And then roughly after that, I'll do the real announcement for the expansion. George says, when's the next book club session going to be? I think I'm sticking with the every other week method, George. So next Thursday, I think is what we're looking at. I'll email you on Sunday to let you know. Anyone who's subscribed to the book club list will get a notification on Sunday whenever we are doing a book club that week. Tim and Chad said wolves. Donna said bear as her pick for animal companion in Scythe. In case you're tuning in late, I just wanted to give you a quick fulfillment update. The update that we have for Viticulture World and the Wine Crate is that in Canada, it looks like most orders have shipped and are being picked up. And so you should have gotten a tracking notification if you are a champion in Canada. If not, don't fret yet. We're going to look into it. It's still very early in the shipping process. If you are in Europe, your order is probably still being processed because they're shipping most everything out this week and next week. It'll be a 2-week shipping process. Either works. We know that orders are being processed, but we don't have a specific number of how many are being shipped. That's in Australia, New Zealand, and Greater Than Games here in St. Louis for U.S. orders. They still have a significant number to get through, but they have gotten through a few hundred at this point. So you've probably seen some people posting about how they've gotten the game. Please do not worry at all if you haven't gotten the shipping notification. This process does take time because fulfillment centers are run by humans, and humans can only ship so many things at once. So even if you're a champion in the US and Europe in particular, you probably won't get a shipping notification until the end of this week or next week sometime at the earliest. So don't worry about it yet. We're working on it. Chad says, any good progress in your new game designs that you've been playtesting? Yeah, I usually have 2 games in the works at a time. One of my games right now is in blind playtesting, and that seems to be going well. I should get those results very soon. And then I'm working on the core design of the other game and have made actually some really, really good progress over the last few days, last few weeks, really. That's been very, very satisfying whenever I make good progress on that game. Yeah, so thanks for asking about that. John says, when you were choosing a campaign game to play, do you prefer if the campaign can be reset for replayability, or does that not matter so much? Any campaigns that you're looking forward to? So I'll answer this personally, John. For me, having a campaign game that can reset does not matter at all. I have so many games to play that I never want to replay a campaign. I've done that in very, very few cases, but that is not a selling point at all. In fact, the length of the campaign is the biggest selling point. By that, I mean a shorter length. I don't want a campaign that's going to take 20 games for me to get the full story. I would love to play campaigns that run in like the 5 to 12 game range, depending on the length of the game. If it's a really, really short game, like My City was a really, really short game, I'm okay with it being a little longer then, because we would often play like 2 or 3 games in a row every time we sat down and played. But yeah, shorter is much better for me. Any campaigns that I'm looking forward to? Yes, I'm looking forward to the new Sleeping Gods campaign. That'll take a while for me to get to me. Most of these are cooperative. I'm looking forward to mostly cooperative campaigns. I think Lands of Galzir is the only competitive one. The Tidal Blades, Heroes of the Reef, that campaign. And there's a few that I backed so long ago that I can't even remember, but I know there's a few that were on Kickstarter that I backed that are coming sometime this year, I think. And but I can't remember the names of them. But yeah, all these kind of follow. Usually they have a nice twist. They have a good onboarding. They're not too long. And most of them are not dungeon crawl style campaigns. I don't want to play any campaign where I'm just fighting a bunch of monsters over and over again in different ways. I want a lot more creativity and range of choice than that. Yeah. So more adventures, I would say, than fighting, just fighting. Michael says, are the BGA implementations of your games, are they positively impacting sales of your games, or was it a negative thing because people rather play digitally than physically? It's hard to gauge. It's a great question. It's a little hard to gauge at this point. I think the traditional mindset is that if you give people a way to play a digital version of your game, then they're more likely to then buy it on the tabletop. So they've learned the game, now they know how to play, and now they might buy it because they want the look of it on the table. It's really hard to gauge, though, if it's having a positive, negative, or neutral impact on sales. I will say one side impact that is, I think, positive is that having your game on Board Game Arena or any form of full AI, or not full AI, but digital version, any digital version, I think increases the chance that people will play it, and therefore increases the chances that people will rate it on Board Game Geek. And so, not that the ratings matter all that much, but being in the top 100, I think, can definitely help a game, help a game's visibility. And so, it's another way to get people to play your game and then ideally rate the game, which I think can be a good thing. A good thing indirectly for sales, at least. Tim says, have I considered not teasing a game and making it available without the build-up, like a surprise drop? We tried that once, Tim, and it didn't work all that well. I did it for Between Two Castles of Madkin Ludwig. I announced it, and on that same day, it was available for pre-order. And it was too fast. Like, some people responded well to it, but because there was no anticipation or build-up at all, people felt kind of rushed. And they felt like they had to make the decision right then and there, I think. And they had no time to kind of mentally prepare for it or budgetarily prepare for it. it didn't work. I know for sure that that didn't work. And so after that, we've experimented with different time periods between the announcement and the release. Of course, we do have some surprises along the way. Like we did the Wingspan puzzles. That was a complete surprise. We announced it and it was available right away. They did okay, or they're doing okay, they're selling okay. But in general, I think some form of anticipation, I think, tends to work out better than just totally surprising people with something. Yeah. But it is fascinating behavioral psychology, the idea of how anticipation works and can help or not help. Chad says he finally got to read 2001: A Space Odyssey. I know people consider it a classic. It was a great book, but way shorter than I thought it would be. Have you read it? Are you reading anything good lately? I've not read 2001: A Space Odyssey. I didn't. It's interesting that it is a shorter book than you thought. In fact, I would say when you say that older books in general are shorter, I think we're in a modern era where books are a lot longer. We get these mega tomes from Brandon Sanderson, but books back in the day were a lot shorter. I am reading right now the second in the Final Architects sci-fi series, and I'm really, really enjoying that one. In fact, there was a Scythe reference in it, and I know the author is a gamer, so I don't know if it was intentional or not. But there's a spaceship in it that he names at a certain point, about midway through this book, that it has a bunch of words in it, including the word Scythe, and the characters just refer to it as the Scythe from then on. I feel like there might have been, this is, my ego or something coming out and making me think this is about me. It probably is not, but it was still kind of neat to see the Scythe italicized throughout an entire chapter of the book with these characters talking about it. And a part of me, just because I know the author is a gamer, wonders if he was doing that intentionally. If so, I was happy to see it. That was a fun little Easter egg. Tim says that he's excited about the Queen's Dilemma and My Island. I'm super excited for the Queen's Dilemma to be on Kickstarter. That hasn't shown up yet, right? I'm definitely waiting for that to be that will be an instant back for me, for sure. Donna says there's a book club list. Donna, I will find that link for you real quick. I will post it in the comments below. It's on the page of our website that is about the crowdfunding book. Look for the link that says join the virtual book club. I'll post that in the comments below, Donna. Here we go. Yeah. A couple people say that they've really been enjoying Board Game Arena. Lucas says, what's my favorite of the West Kingdom or North Sea series? I've played Raiders and Architects and like both. Paladins is the next one I've got my eye on. I've played, I think, 4 of them. I played Paladins, Viscounts, Architects, and Raiders. And Architects is my favorite. That's the one that I am the most eager to get to the table time after time. I've been trying to get it back to the table for a long time now, but haven't made that happen. In fact, I need to go into a little gaming retreat in the near future, so I will try to bring that and get it to the table. Let's see. Michael says, does Board Game Arena pay the publisher if they implement a game on Board Game Arena? Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Board Game Arena cannot publish a game on Board Game Arena without the permission of the publisher in the first place. And the publisher has the option of going for the paid plan, which is like for anyone who's premium on Board Game Arena has to pay around $4 or $5 a month to get access to the premium games. And part of those funds, I think, are divided up somehow and go to the publishers, which I think is the way to go. It's not much money to pay every month, and I think it's worth it for the payout, and make sure that the developers on Board Game Arena are compensated and the publishers are compensated as well. It's not a lot of money at all, but it's nice to see a little bit of return on that investment. Efren says, since you don't do crowdfunding, will you do deluxeified versions of games like Viticulture? The way I try to think about it is that I try to make all of our games feel like the deluxe version of the game. Yes, there are components that aren't as deluxe as they could be, but like look at the Libertalia Winds of Galecrest. Of course I'm biased, but I think it largely feels like a deluxe version of the game, but it is the standard version of the game. So that is generally the way that we go. We did, for Red Rising, we had a collector's version and a retail version. So we did 2 different versions of that. I don't think that's always needed because I'd prefer to have the best version of the game just in one box always, just one version of the game. But that's what we did for that one. So it depends on the game a little bit. But in general, yeah, I try to make our games feel like deluxe versions of the games just out of the box. And if I'm not able to do that and offer a reasonable price point, I'll divide it up like I did for Red Rising. Yeah. Cameron says, which of my games have I played the least? Oh, which of the games that I've designed have I played the least? Is that what you're asking? The games that I published or games that I've designed, Cameron? Because I might answer differently. Let's see, games that I designed, and I'll talk about playing the published version of the game the least. Ooh, that's hard to say. I've definitely played Rolling Realms the most at this point, I think, of any game that I designed. Published version of the game, I played Scythe a lot. I played Tapestry a lot. I don't know. That's hard to answer of the games. I'm looking at my games list right now. Charterstone. Charterstone, I've played 2 campaigns of it, so I've played that a ton. Euphoria and Viticulture are so early on that I played them a lot. Maybe Euphoria? Red Rising is also fairly recent. I have played Red Rising a lot, but it is more recent. So maybe Red Rising or Euphoria among the games that I designed that we published. I played the least. I've still played them quite a few times. Tim says, I recommend Memorabilia by A.S. Coomer as a book. Thanks for that recommendation, Tim. I'll take a note of that. Chad says that he's watching Severance right now. He's really enjoying it. And yeah, I have watched Severance. I did really enjoy it. It feels very different. And it's kind of incredible that Ben Stiller is the director of it. Ben Stiller. Pretty incredible. Multi-talented Ben Stiller. Sorry, I'm scrolling back to find some questions here. Actually, before I do more questions, let me see if there's any topics that I need to cover today. Nothing big. Like I said, I played Small World last night, Small World of Warcraft. I played Lisboa for the first time recently, and I played Wavelength at a barbecue this past weekend. Wavelength is such a great party game. I really like that as a party game, party activity. Like, we weren't scoring at all. I did a post this past Monday about the current state of stretch goals. My video this past weekend was about trick-taking and ladder climbing games. And I did a post on Thursday about, I'm talking about anticipation today, about how I had to essentially stall a little bit for Viticulture World as we got through the mess of freight shipping, and just some different tactics that I used to keep people's attention on it a little bit without being too annoying, hopefully. So that was my post from last Thursday. Yeah. Oh, also, coincidentally, with all this Viticulture stuff happening, on what is today? Wednesday. On Friday. Friday is Viticulture's 9th anniversary. Viticulture was released to retailers on June 10th, 2013. So this is the 9th anniversary. So normally I would invite you to play Viticulture for the anniversary, but if you're a fan of Viticulture, you're probably getting Viticulture World. You might be playing it anyway this weekend. I'm going to say it anyway. It's worth celebrating. But I look forward to seeing, if you have received it by then, your post about Viticulture World this weekend, if you're able to play it. Jay says, with Libertalia already on Board Game Arena, are there plans to add Winds of Galecrest? We have given Board Game Arena the full green light to put Libertalia Winds of Galecrest on Board Game Arena, and also leave the original on there for anyone who wants the old version. But they haven't found a developer who can do it yet. So I want them to do it, but they haven't done it yet. Jonathan says, I recently heard about the concept of English localization, as in U.S. publishers publishing localizations with more common UK European vocabulary and spelling. Have you explored doing this for any of your games? I haven't. I wasn't aware the publishers were doing that. That's interesting. No, I don't think we do that, just because. I mean, I've read books that are in UK English and been perfectly fine with it, and I know some words are a little bit different, but no, I don't think we have anything like that in the works. What do you think about that? Do you think that's worth the time and effort and expense that would require such a change to a document, to cards, rule books, things like that? Nicholas shared here, we were talking about the boxes, and he shared some places that you can drop off these boxes so they can be reused. Justin says, how does it work when a BGG suggestion becomes an expansion or promo pack, like your Libertalia example? Do you give them permission, royalties, bring them in as a co-designer? Depends on what they suggested and what they're suggesting. At the very least, if someone's like designed a card, I don't know, maybe, it's even hard to say with just one card. But the example I was giving for Libertalia, where two people have designed a bunch of loot tiles. If we might if we use them as inspiration, I would definitely pull those designers into the fold and let them be a part of the process if they want to be. And uh, typically, I mean, if it's just an idea that they posted that we then run with, I would pay them a flat fee, and then the designer, in this case, Paolo Mori, would run with it. It's a little tricky. I mean, basically, I want to respect what the person has actually done as much as possible. If it is a full design and they are a co-designer, they will get royalties. If it's more like they've posted an idea and they want us to run with it, or I want to run with it, that's where a flat fee I think is more appropriate. Giving them credit I think is important, but we would never, I think, take something that someone has posted and just take it and use it without any form of credit or compensation. That just to me wouldn't feel right. Yeah. But some things like this thing where for Libertalia, I don't know. Maybe it is a co-design credit. It's hard to exactly say. Like even for Wingspan, people post ideas for bird cards all the time, but Elizabeth is the Wingspan designer. Like that is just the way it is. She is the Wingspan designer, and so someone posting it, they need to know that Elizabeth might be inspired by an idea that they post. And I think people just need to be okay with that. We're definitely not going to take a whole batch of cards that someone has designed and just like import that into Wingspan. But Elizabeth is going to get ideas from cards and ideas that other people post. So when possible, when we are able to remember who posted those ideas, we try to credit them in the rulebook and just say, hey, like this person has some good ideas that inspired Elizabeth to design some unique bird cards, things like that. We try to do that as well. Lucas says, do you think they will do a Clank Legacy Season 2? He says, by far it's his favorite Legacy game. His group has even played a few one-off games post-campaign on the Legacy board. So great. I don't know. The game has done very, very well. Legacy games are incredibly difficult and time-consuming to design and don't always have the payoff in terms of profits and revenue that you would hope given the amount of time that you spend on them. And so I don't know. But Clank Legacy has done very well. It's very high up in the rankings. I think people seem to love it. It probably has sold fairly well. So I don't know. We'll see. I would probably play it if they did another version of it. I guess I really enjoyed Clank Legacy as well. Mark says, what are my thoughts on Lisboa? It's probably my #1 game, but I know you don't gravitate towards heavier games. It was very heavy for me to play, especially it was an instance of a game where it could have been significantly less heavy if more text had been on the cards themselves instead of solely relying on the icons. There were so many icons and so many icons that were fairly similar to the other icons that that's where I was the most overwhelmed in the game. There's an entire menu that each player needs to go through to understand how those icons work. So that definitely, I'm just saying that because it definitely got in the way of the gameplay. That said, I really enjoyed aspects of the game. I enjoyed the card play. I enjoyed the aspect of like cleaning stuff off the board from this natural disaster, a series of natural disasters that happened in Lisbon. And my favorite mechanism, you'll see it in a video in a few weeks. I filmed it yesterday, actually. My favorite mechanism are the decree cards. I really, really liked how the decree cards worked. I just wish there were text on the cards explaining what those icons do. Nicholas says, is Stonemeyer or its employees in any business networking groups? No, we're not. No, I'm not really looking to, I'm not looking to network. I've gotten invitations for stuff like that. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, I like to talk in my forums and various forums about business. I like to do that. But for the purpose of networking, like that hasn't appealed to me. But maybe I'm kind of talking poorly about it. Maybe you've gotten value from that, Nicholas. Have you participated in a professional networking group that you've gotten value out of, that you've enjoyed? George asked if I'm reading anything interesting lately. And yeah, what I'm reading right now is the second book of the Final Architects series of books. And Kevin says that he thinks his Viticulture World is coming up pretty soon. That's exciting. Love the comments in the conversation today. Some great questions today. I think we're pulling towards the end here. I covered all the things that I meant to cover. Let me see if there's anything in my email that I should bring up while we're here. But no, I don't really I don't see anything over here, I think. So thank you all for joining me today. This was a wonderful live chat. I look forward to joining you again next Wednesday for our weekly chat. And have a great day, great weekend, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.